Okay, let's unpack this. Do you ever feel like your days are just, I don't know, a total blur?
Oh, absolutely. Like you're just on autopilot.
Right. You wake up, you do your things, the commute, the email, the errands, and then suddenly it's evening.
Yeah, and you're just sitting on the couch.
Exactly. Sitting there feeling incredibly busy, completely exhausted, but somehow, like, not truly present. You look back at the last 12 hours and think, wait, what did I actually do today?
It's a really common feeling. You're definitely not alone in that.
Well, we're looking at a deeply revealing transcript today from a show called Human Talks. It features these two speakers, Anna and Mark.
Right. And the conversation they have is so interesting.
It really is. And our mission today is to decode their conversation about redefining healthy habits. Because what they prove is that the reason you feel this constant low-level exhaustion isn't because you aren't trying hard enough.
No, not at all. It's actually because our entire approach to changing our daily habits is built on a fundamental psychological lie.
A lie, yeah.
Mm.
So where do we even start with that?
Well, it's a profound realization when you get down to it. When you examine that daily blur, that creeping exhaustion, it usually isn't the result of, like, a catastrophic failure or a massive crisis.
Right. Things might be fundamentally okay.
Exactly. Your work is fine, your family is fine. But there's this lingering, pervasive sense that something is just a little bit off.
And then our immediate cultural instinct is to try and fix it by adopting some massive, grueling routine, right?
Precisely. We think we need a total overhaul, but our goal today is to analyze how shifting entirely away from those punishing massive life overhauls and moving toward quiet, tiny daily acts of self-care can actually alter your reality without that inevitable burnout.
Which is exactly why this deep dive is so critical. Society totally conditions us to think that changing your life requires moving a mountain.
Yeah, you feel stuck, so you assume you need a brand new job.
Or a wildly complex 10-year plan, or some superhuman burst of motivation to feel better. We think we need a bulldozer.
We really do.
But the sources suggest we just need to pick up a single tiny pebble.
I love that analogy. A single pebble.
Thanks. And I want to start right at the beginning of the day, because Mark, one of the speakers in the Human Talks transcript, had this amazing realization about that mountain of morning pressure.
Oh, the morning phone grab.
Yes. He described waking up one day and his hand automatically reached for his phone. I mean, it's pure muscle memory for all of us at this point.
Definitely. Before your eyes are even fully open.
Right. But he just stopped. He didn't pick it up.
Wow.
Instead of scrolling through a barrage of emails or news, he just sat in the silence of his room and listened to the birds outside.
What's fascinating here is the intense neuroscience happening in that seemingly passive moment.
Wait, really? Neuroscience?
Oh, yeah. What Mark executed there is what we call a pattern interrupt.
Wait, hold on. Let me push back on this for a second. We're talking about profound life changes.
Yeah.
And you're telling me Mark just listened to some birds. How does that actually move the needle on his life?
Because of how the brain's habit loop functions?
Oh, okay. Break that down for me.
Sure. Every habit has three parts. There's a cue, a routine, and a reward.
Right.
So waking up groggy is the cue. Grabbing the smartphone is the routine. And the immediate hit of dopamine from a notification or a news headline, that's the reward.
Okay, follow.
His hand moving for the phone is an automatic pilot response. It completely bypasses conscious thought. By pausing and explicitly not touching the phone, he didn't just look at birds.
He did something else.
Yeah, he deliberately starved that habitual neural pathway of its expected dopamine spike.
Oh, I see. So he forced his brain to break the loop.
Precisely. And notice what he didn't do.
With that?
He didn't replace scrolling with a heavy, demanding new task. Like, he didn't immediately jump into a 30-minute guided meditation or a heavy workout.
You replaced it with presence.
Exactly. He replaced it with a pebble. Big, complicated morning changes usually fail because they place a massive demand on our executive function.
That's the part of the brain that does, like decision-making and self-control, right?
Right. And you're demanding that right when our battery is at its absolute lowest.
That makes so much sense. We wake up with a low battery and we immediately demand our brains to sprint, which actually perfectly connects to Anna's experience in the transcript.
The water glass.
Yes. She talked about feeling heavy and tired every single morning, even when she was getting plenty of sleep.
Which is so frustrating.
Right. Her initial thought was that she needed complex solutions, like meticulously tracking her sleep cycles or buying expensive supplements.
Which is such a common reaction.
But her pebble, her tiny change, was simply drinking one single glass of water right after waking up.
Just one glass.
Yeah. And within a few days, her body felt lighter and she felt more awake.
And again, we have to look at the biological mechanism of why that actually works. She chose a frictionless answer.
Because it's just water.
Right. When you wake up, you are naturally dehydrated. Dehydration thickens your blood, which means your heart has to work harder to pump oxygen to your brain.
Oh, and that creates that feeling of lethargy?
Exactly. So by just drinking water, she solved a profound physiological deficit without requiring any willpower. Small changes slip right past the brain's natural resistance to effort.
That is so wild. And that morning brain drain is exactly why we crash later in the day, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because if we waste all our mental energy, our executive function, fighting our alarm clocks, or fighting the urge to scroll for an hour in bed, well, by the time lunch rolls around.
You have zero willpower left to fight your diet.
Exactly. We just crash.
It's a concept called ego depletion. You know, willpower isn't a personality trait.
Wait, it's not.
No, it's actually a finite cognitive resource. If you burn it all in the morning, you will inevitably seek out the path of least resistance by the afternoon.
And that's usually where people carry the most guilt, right?
Yeah,
Like with food and exercise.
Absolutely. Food and movement are notoriously high-pressure areas.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, but also where I'm going to need you to unpack the science a bit, because I'm honestly a little skeptical.
Sure, lay it on me.
We are so conditioned to think about health as deprivation. It's all about what we are not allowed to do.
Banning carbs, cutting out sugar, fasting.
Exactly. But the source material suggests the exact opposite approach. Mark talks about a period where he was eating a lot of fast food burgers, fries, sweets.
The easy stuff.
Yeah, and sure, it felt good in the moment, but afterward it left him tired, slow, and completely unfocused.
Because of the sugar crash.
Right. But instead of going on a strict diet built on complex rules and punishing restriction, he just started adding things.
Which is brilliant.
He added vegetables. He added simple home-cooked food.
The philosophy of addition over subtraction.
Okay, but come on. If I just, add a big side salad to my double bacon cheeseburger, I am still eating the cheeseburger. Does the brain actually let go of the junk food craving, or am I just eating way more food overall? Is it really that simple?
It actually is, because you're leveraging your biology instead of fighting it.
Okay, how so?
Think about the physiological mechanism of fast food. It's engineered to deliver a massive spike in blood sugar.
Which gives you that temporary high.
Right. Followed by a severe insulin crash, which makes you feel lethargic and immediately hungry again.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
We all do. But when you tell your brain you are banning fast food, you trigger a psychological state of scarcity. Your brain fixates on what it can't have.
You just obsess over the burger even more.
Exactly. It requires immense willpower to resist. But when you focus on a dish adding fiber-rich vegetables, adding a home-cooked meal with complex carbohydrates, two things happen.
I'm listening.
Psychologically, you remove the stress of deprivation. You are allowed to eat.
Okay, that takes the pressure off.
And biologically, the fiber and nutrients physically fill your stomach. They signal stretch receptors that tell your brain you are full. Plus, the complex carbs stabilize your blood sugar, preventing the crash.
Whoa.
You don't need willpower to stop eating the fast food because your biological drive to seek out that quick dopamine and sugar hit has been neutralized. The bad habits slowly get crowded out on their own.
That is amazing. So food becomes about fueling your energy and feeling stable rather than, punishing yourself for a lack of discipline.
Exactly. It completely changes the relationship from an adversarial one to a supportive one.
And we see the exact same philosophy with movement in the source material, don't we?
We really do. Anna makes a great point about that.
Yeah, she points out that when people hear the word exercise, their minds immediately jump to heavy gym sessions, sweating, and intense exhaustion.
You feel tired just thinking about starting.
Seriously. But Anna's approach to movement is completely integrated into her daily life. She just walks to the shop instead of driving. She walks with her child.
Or she literally just puts on music and dances around her living room.
Yes, because she's removed the friction.
Right. Going to a gym requires packing a bag, commuting, performing a routine, and showering.
That is an enormous amount of friction.
But dancing in your living room requires zero friction.
And Mark, he just takes a walk in the evenings. Sometimes with a friend, sometimes alone, just to look around and reflect on his day.
It isn't about strapping on a heart rate monitor and burning exactly 400 calories.
No, it's about clearing the mind.
And that transition from the physical body to the mental state is crucial. Because physical habits, no matter how frictionless they are, they're incredibly fragile if our internal dialogue is toxic.
Oh, man. The internal landscape dictates everything.
It really does. The source material makes a profound point that we often forget. Your thoughts are always with you. You cannot escape your own mind.
So true.
If you are eating vegetables and walking every day but constantly telling yourself you're a failure, the biological stress of that internal narrative will undermine everything else.
Mark shared this highly relatable story in the transcript about that, actually. He talked about planning a perfectly productive day.
Oh, the massive to-do list.
Yeah, he had this massive list with dozens of tasks, and of course, because he is human, he didn't finish most of them.
Naturally.
His initial automatic reaction was intense anger and self-criticism. His internal monologue immediately went to, I am lazy, I am not good.
Which triggers a very real physiological response.
It does.
Oh, yeah. When you attack yourself internally, your brain doesn't distinguish between an external threat like a predator and an internal threat like your own harsh self-criticism.
Wait, really?
Mm.
It treats them the same.
Yes. It triggers the amygdala, releasing cortisol, the stress hormone, into your bloodstream. You are literally inducing a state of fight or flight against yourself.
That is terrifying. But Mark caught himself, right?
He did.
He stopped the spiral, and he fundamentally changed the question. Instead of focusing on the glaring gap of what he failed to do, he asked himself, what did I do today?
Such a powerful shift.
He looked at his list, acknowledged his partial progress, and recognized that he did accomplish some things.
It sounds like a minor semantic shift, but it's actually a massive cognitive intervention. We cannot stop the involuntary flow of thoughts, but we absolutely have agency over how we frame them afterward.
Right, by shifting the vocabulary.
Exactly. Moving from the absolute, like, everything's bad or I am lazy, to the nuanced, this is not perfect, but I did something and I will try again tomorrow. That shuts down that cortisol response.
Just calms the system down.
It moves the brain's activity out of the panicked amygdala and back into the rational prefrontal cortex.
You know, I think of the mind like a computer browser. We've all heard the analogy of having way too many tabs open.
Oh, yeah, the too many tabs feeling.
But let's take it a step further to really understand the mechanics here. It's not just that you have 50 tabs open. Your work tab, your family tab, your anxieties, your unfinished to-do list.
Right.
It's that every single open tab is quietly eating up your mental RAM in the background. Your brain's battery is draining even when you think you're resting on the couch.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it.
And when one of those tabs crashes, like when you realize you aren't going to finish your tasks for the day, you don't pick up the whole computer and throw it out the window. You don't declare the entire machine useless.
No, you just buy a new one, which you can't do with your brain.
Exactly. You just calmly assess what is still running, force quit the crash tab, and keep using the computer.
That background anxiety is constantly draining the very executive function you need to build good habits. Self-compassion isn't just a soft, feel-good idea.
It's functional.
It's a neurological necessity. It is the ultimate mental habit because it frees up your mental RAM. It's the foundation that allows all the other habits to exist without collapsing under the crushing weight of perfectionism.
And that inability to close the tabs, that constant draining of our mental battery, severely impacts our ability to actually rest. The deep dive forces highlight how this directly affects sleep.
Yes.
Both Mark and Anna admit they struggle heavily with what they call the just 5 minutes trap.
Ah, yes. The trap of the smartphone in bed.
We have all been there. You tell yourself, I'm just going to check my messages for 5 minutes, and suddenly an hour has vanished into a black hole of videos, emails, and scrolling.
Leaving your brain totally wired at midnight.
Why is that trap so impossible to escape once you fall into it?
Well, because social media and email algorithms are built on variable reward schedules.
Meaning what? Exactly.
It's the exact same psychological mechanism used in slot machines. You pull the lever or, swipe the screen, not knowing if you'll get a boring email, an exciting text, or a funny video.
So it's the unpredictability.
Right. That unpredictability creates an intense surge of dopamine that demands you swipe just one more time.
Just one more.
Combine that with the blue light from the screen actively suppressing your body's melatonin production, and you've created an environment where sleep is chemically and psychologically impossible.
So you're fighting a slot machine and a chemical imbalance at the exact same time.
Yeah.
No wonder willpower doesn't work.
Exactly.
Mark's solution, thankfully, wasn't to magically develop ironclad discipline. His solution was physical distance.
He put the phone completely across the room.
They're away from the bed, yeah. So he physically couldn't reach it without getting up. And he replaced the scrolling with simply lying down in the dark and breathing slowly.
Notice the recurring pattern there. He didn't rely on force.
He didn't just grit his teeth.
Right. He didn't try to out-willpower an algorithm designed by thousands of engineers. He changed his environment to make the bad habit incredibly difficult.
And he replaced it with a frictionless, calming habit.
Slow breathing, which physically lowers the heart rate and signals to the nervous system that it's safe to sleep.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've talked about the water, walking instead of heavy gyms, adding vegetables instead of banning carbs, forgiving yourself for unfinished lists, and leaving the phone across the room.
All these tiny pebbles.
Yeah. Why do all these specific tactics actually work and stick around for years when those grand Monday morning resolutions almost always crash and burn within 3 days?
Because it all comes down to the core philosophy of the source material. It's the profound difference between care and force.
Care versus force.
Yes, when people announce, starting Monday, I am changing my entire life, they are operating purely on force. They're attempting to coerce themselves into an entirely new identity through sheer pressure.
I have to admit, though, when the sources say the rule is to start ridiculously small, it almost feels like a trick.
How so?
Like drinking 1 glass of water, walking for 10 minutes, going to sleep exactly 10 minutes earlier. It feels so small that my immediate reaction is, this doesn't even count. I'm taking the easy way out.
I understand exactly why it feels like a cop-out, especially in our hustle culture. But feeling easy isn't a bug in the system.
Yeah.
It's the fundamental feature. It's the secret ingredient. When a habit is easy, you experience success immediately on day one.
Oh, I see.
That success builds self-efficacy, the belief that you are capable of keeping promises to yourself. That belief creates momentum, and momentum is the only thing that allows you to continue when motivation inevitably fades.
That is such a crucial point.
Healthy habits are not about forcing yourself under immense pressure. They are an act of self-respect. You don't drink the water or take the walk because you hate your body and are punishing yourself for being out of shape.
Right?
You do it because you actually care for your body and your mind.
You do it because you respect your own machinery enough to maintain it.
Exactly. And the source material offers a highly critical warning here that we just cannot ignore.
What's that?
Do not compare your quiet, small, daily changes to the loud, perfect lives broadcast on social media.
Oh, man. That is the ultimate trap.
It really is.
Everyone online looks like they are living flawlessly optimized lives, waking up at 4 a.m. to plunge into ice water, running marathons before dawn, and drinking complex green juices while running 3 companies.
But you have to remember that is an illusion. It is a highly curated performance. Comparing your real, messy, daily life to someone else's highlight reel is a guaranteed way to invite that heavy, crushing pressure back into your brain.
And that immediately moves you away from the philosophy of care and throws you right back into the machinery of force.
Exactly. You have to remember that your life is your own path. Give your small changes time to compound. Change only one thing at a time.
This has been such a refreshing and vital perspective. To summarize what we've unpacked in this deep dive today. True, sustainable life changes aren't loud, and they aren't massive.
Not at all.
They are incredibly small, they are quiet, and they are daily. It's the glass of water. It's the pattern interrupt of pausing before checking the phone.
It's actively adding a vegetable instead of punishing yourself by banning a dessert.
Yes. And it's closing the mental tabs by asking yourself what you did accomplish instead of calling yourself lazy. These tiny pebbles don't just tweak your morning routine.
They slowly rewrite your neural pathways.
They incrementally build your energy, they stabilize your mood, and ultimately, they rebuild your life from the ground up.
They really do. And this brings us to a final, slightly different perspective for you to take into your day.
Okay, what is it?
Well, we spent all this time talking about how adding these small acts of care can fix your exhaustion. But consider the flip side.
The flip side of care.
Yeah, what if your so-called bad habits, the late-night scrolling, the junk food binges, the procrastination, were never actually failures of discipline at all?
Wait, really? Then what are they?
What if those destructive loops are just your exhausted brain's desperate, misguided attempts to comfort and care for you when you absolutely refuse to give it a break?
Wow. That is a completely different way to look at it.
Yeah.
You're not fighting a weak character.
No.
You're just fighting an exhausted brain that's trying to help in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Pick up one positive pebble today, just one small step of actual care, and see if your brain finally stops fighting you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. You've got this. Take care.